The Bible has had a profound influence on the history, culture, and thought of humankind. The Bible of today took its present form through long debates and processes of selection, beginning in the 1st century AD. However, in later times, other documents that were not included in the biblical canon, but had long been passed down, began to be re-examined. These were filled with content so shocking that it could shake the very framework of Christianity. From the end of 1946 to 1956, a large number of mysterious manuscripts were discovered in caves at Qumran, in the West Bank of Jordan. From a total of 11 caves, more than 900 manuscripts were unearthed. Analysis revealed that these were not only copies of the Old Testament, but also vast records containing the faith and regulations of the ancients. Scholars gave these manuscripts the name Dead Sea Scrolls and began earnest study. The fact that such materials were discovered in Qumran, believed to have been inhabited by the Jewish sect known as the Essenes, was highly significant, for it provided new knowledge about the daily lives of ancient peoples that had long remained unknown. What drew particular attention was the time period in which these were written. The Dead Sea Scrolls are thought to have been composed between the 2nd century BC and the early 1st century AD, precisely overlapping with the gap between the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament. This so-called intertestamental period, a silent span of about 400 years, might finally have found its missing link through the Dead Sea Scrolls, and countless theologians and scholars turned their attention to them. But such a discovery was not entirely optimistic. It became, at the same time, the very fuse that ignited countless debates about the Bible. About 30% of the Dead Sea Scrolls were texts not included in the biblical canon. Because their authorship was unclear or their origins unverifiable, these writings were classified as apocrypha or pseudepigrapha. In the case of apocrypha, Catholic traditions differ. Some accept them as deuterocanonical books, but Protestant traditions maintain that apocrypha cannot serve as a standard of faith. As for pseudepigrapha, since they are considered to have gaps with traditional Christian doctrine, most Catholic branches regard them as writings without divine inspiration and do not accept them. Pseudepigrapha are nothing more than writings unworthy of reading. Pseudepigrapha are the first step into heresy. Pseudepigrapha are a channel through which unsound theology enters. They strongly emphasize that no other revelation or knowledge outside of the Bible is necessary. And yet many scholars argued that among the pseudepigrapha found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there was one book that could not simply be ignored: the Book of Enoch. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. Enoch, the 7th generation from Adam, father of Methuselah and great-grandfather of Noah. In the Bible, Enoch is scarcely mentioned, aside from the fact that he was taken into heaven. But within the Dead Sea Scrolls, there were multiple references to Enoch. The words of blessing of Enoch. Enoch, a righteous man who was with God, had his eyes opened and saw a holy vision in heaven and answered, "This vision the angel showed me." From its opening, the text declares that these are Enoch's words. Thus it came to be called the Book of Enoch, raising countless questions and mysteries. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. In traditional Christian doctrine, the act of Adam and Eve disobeying God and eating the forbidden fruit is defined as humanity's first disobedience, the beginning of sin. This presupposes that humans are beings with free will. In other words, God gave free will to humankind, but humans misused it and committed sin on their own. In contrast, the Book of Enoch describes this point differently. The sons of heaven, the angels who were sent to watch mankind called the Watchers, saw the daughters of men and desired them. Their leader Simjaza said, "Come, let us choose wives from among the daughters of men and beget children." Abandoning their duty as angels, they descended to the summit of Mount Hermon, swore oaths together, and resolved to carry out this plan. They were 200 in all, led by 20 chiefs, each commanding 10. According to the Book of the Watchers, chapters 1 through 36 of Enoch, Semjasa and his followers, the heavenly watchers, fell into lust and broke their divine order. The angels each took wives and lay with them, defiling themselves. They taught the women sorcery, magic, the cutting of roots, the making of weapons, alchemy, cosmetics, and knowledge of plants. Because of this, much ungodliness arose, fornication spread, and all things became corrupt. Here, sin arises not from human free will, but from the external intervention of heavenly beings. If so, it directly contradicts the Christian doctrine of original sin. What follows is even more shocking. The women became pregnant and bore great giants, 3,000 cubits tall. The giants devoured all the goods of men. When humans could no longer sustain them, they began to devour mankind. They ate birds, beasts, and fish, and in the end, even consumed each other's flesh and drank blood. From angels and humans came giants, who slaughtered mankind and corrupted the world. The Bible also briefly mentions these beings. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Enoch, come from the Nephilim. We seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them. The Hebrew word Nephilim, meaning fallen ones, appears only twice in the Old Testament. They are described as terrifying beings of immense size and strength. Scholars have long debated their identity. The Nephilim are ancient warriors or corrupt rulers. Perhaps they were an actual race of giants long ago. Some equated the giants of Enoch with the Nephilim of Scripture. But the Orthodox Church drew a firm line. The Book of Enoch, as pseudepigrapha, cannot be used to interpret Scripture. Still, scholars emphasized its archaeological value. Composed between the 3rd century BC and 1st century AD, the Book of Enoch consists of 5 works, written in many languages including Aramaic, the everyday language of many Jews of that time. Since it was discovered at Qumran, where the Essenes lived, it is undeniable that its content was part of Jewish belief then. This was a time before the biblical canon was finalized, when the boundary between canon and pseudepigrapha was blurred and diverse ideas coexisted. Thus, many argued that the Book of Enoch must be interpreted in the context of its own age, not from today's perspective. Scholars even found places where the New Testament appears to quote Enoch. Behold, he comes with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment on all, and to convict all the ungodly of their ungodly deeds, and of all the harsh things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Enoch, the 7th from Adam, prophesied about them. See, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones to judge everyone, and to convict all the ungodly of all the ungodly acts they have committed, and of all the defiant words ungodly sinners have spoken against him. The wording, grammar, and structure are strikingly similar. Even Jude itself states, Enoch prophesied. Therefore, many scholars argued that the author of Jude had cited the Book of Enoch. Since Jude was written around the 1st century AD, it is possible it drew upon the earlier Book of Enoch. But theologians like John Barton insist, a citation does not grant canonical authority. Still, the debate continues. The Bible is often described as a collective work, formed over centuries of oral tradition. Even Genesis, considered canonical, is thought to have been influenced by ancient Near Eastern myths. The story of Noah's Ark resembles the Sumerian and Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh, and the Mesopotamian Atrahasis epic. Likewise, the existence of giants appears in many mythologies. Greek Titans and Gigantes, Norse Jotun, Irish Fomorians, Aztec Quinametsin, all born from the union of gods and humans, all bringers of chaos and destruction. The giants of Enoch and the Nephilim of the Bible share this same archetype, hinting at a common ancient perception across civilizations. Some suggest the Book of Enoch was deliberately excluded from the canon to strengthen Christian worldview and doctrine. Indeed, after the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, for nearly 40 years the Vatican tightly controlled access, allowing only Catholic clergy to study them while blocking outside scholars. Some speculate this was because the scrolls contained teachings that could challenge the doctrine of biblical inerrancy. The mysteries and controversies surrounding the Book of Enoch remain unresolved to this day. This was Midnight Journey.